Well, Happy New Day, CSA. How feels each and every one of you this wonderful, lovely new day? How feels wonderful, beautiful, handsome, enlightened, and fantastically prosperous and healthy you this wonderful, lovely new day? Well, I welcome all of you to today's program. Today is a special day, and you'll all find out why later on. But today is about service that we render. When I was with my beloved Guru, I noticed that he was up very early each morning, and his day started after he had finished his meditation and everything around 5 a.m. Later on, when he moved from the CSA environment to a place called Tiger in town, he would drive in a little bit before 5 a.m., but he was ready from 5 a.m. going. And I also embraced it. You know, getting up early is not a challenge to me at all. If you call me and you tell me, let's meet at 1 a.m., I'll be there. Because waking up is not anything that I find cumbersome. You see, all of us want to make it in life. But Jesus once said something which has inspired me. He said, I can of my own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth his works. And again, he said, my Father worketh hitherto, and therefore I work. Can you imagine how many millions of years this earth or creation has been in process? And if God is to stop working 1 minute, everything will fall apart. And yet he does it as a sacrifice for the maintenance of the worlds. And you find yourself on planet Earth for this little time, this little flicker of time, and some people abhor service like it's a plague. When you call for service, you see people running away from service. But service is all about love also. Jesus, at the time of his Last Supper with his disciples, took off his raiment and put a towel around his waist and got a bowl, started washing the feet of his disciples. And after, when he got to the turn of Peter, Peter said, I will not allow you to wash my feet. And Jesus said, if I do not wash your feet, then you are no part of me. And he said, okay, master, then wash both my feet and my head. See, Peter wanted everything in surplus. And after Jesus finished, he asked his disciples, do you know why I was doing what I was doing? He said, no. He said, henceforth the greatest amongst you must be the servant. Now, when you are ordained, they call you a minister. But they have one, you see, a revered minister. And a minister is a servant. Ever since I came from CSA headquarters, I have been serving as a CSA minister. And when you come to, if you had been to the former CSA building, used to paint that place almost every month when we first started. And one of the things that I teach about is that we must look and seek to maintain things. You see, maintenance is good. It keeps everything in tip-top shape. But it looks as if because in our society we don't have a word for maintenance. I want to encounter one person, Oponine Jekum. He comes on Peace FM. Maybe he may be able to give me a word for maintenance in our language. But I've asked so many times, nobody seems to know the word for maintenance in our language. And you see, if you don't have a word, there's no way you can understand it. And so I look, in the Ghanaian society, you just look at our roads. We'll construct a road, a small pothole will begin to emerge, and it will be left until it becomes a large pothole, and then Buri Road. And you get to the Okpongro Junction, where the new things in our society, ever since Dr. Kwame Nkrumah left the scene, we have had a problem, a challenge with leadership in this country. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that whatever a great man does, others follow. Barack Obama came to this country and he said that we must look at the principles and work the principles. But you see, it is people who work principles. One of the things that touched my heart when I started going to the International New Thought Alliance Congress is I met Dr. Barbara King and Dr. Johnny Coleman. They were sitting down and I walked up to them because I had read their books before. I walked up to them and pronounced, and Dr. Barbara King asked me where I was from. I said I was from Ghana, and he told me she had been to Ghana before. And then I noticed a brooch which was being worn by Dr. Johnny Coleman in school we had with my children, Mr. Jani's children, and later on Atakwashi's children. All of them were there. Last Friday, we went to a place in Dansoman to celebrate the 85th birthday of Mrs. Sarah Larbi. There is something, every Sunday morning, Reverend Isaac Ishon and myself, we go for a walk. And sometimes as we walk, we'll be discussing her. Isaac says, the current CSA people, they don't know what Aunt Sarah has done in CSA. You know, when we were formerly at the old site, on some Saturdays, when you come, you see Aunt Sarah sitting down with lime and ashes, polishing all the brass things we had for the altar and everywhere. Anything brass, she will polish it. And on birthdays and other things, she will provide food. And she was full of service all the time. Recently, when we had an ordination, she was not here, but it was in my mind to ordain her, and I was looking for the right occasion to do that. So Friday, when we left the place, when we left the birthday party, her children held for her. I was with Cyril, and I said to Cyril, on Sunday, this coming Sunday, I want to shock Aunt Sarah. So I called her. I asked him if he had her number, because her number that I had on my phone was an old number. When I called, it tells me this number. Yesterday, they were going to a funeral in Kumasi, and so they have gone unblocked. I said, no problem. She comes in this morning, walks up to me, and says, thank you. And I said, oh, today is your day. Oh. But she did not know, you know. Now, let me read from the Bhagavad Gita some of the things about work. They said, from the 3rd chapter, verse 21 of the Bhagavad Gita, it says, whatsoever a great man does, the same is done by others as well. Whatever standard he sets, the world follows. But you see that, like in athletics, if you set a record, know that that record you have set may be broken one day. There was a time when people thought that no one could run 100 meters in 10 seconds. But now, it's being run in 9 point something seconds. A time will come when people will run 100 meters in 8 seconds. That time will come. Always you have a record holder for so many years, and then one day a young man will run like he's being chased by a lion and will break that record. I always say that sometimes they should make some animals chase them. They want to break all the records. They should make some animals chase them. They will break all the records in a day. Because who wants to be eaten by a lion or a tiger? And there is something too. You see, we are all here for a purpose. And we must all seek to know our purpose. And there was something that my guru, Roy Jean Davis, used to read from the Bhagavad Gita to rest when I was with him. It's also from the same 3rd chapter of Karma Yoga, verse 35. He says, better is one's own law, though imperfectly carried out, than the law of another carried out perfectly. Better is death in the fulfillment of one's own law, for to follow another's law is perilous. You know, people normally will look at what others are doing and they say, I'm going to do that. And I always say, don't be a crowd follower. Find your path and walk that path, even if it is you alone who is walking that path. You know, that has been my life. When I was getting to my teenage years, we had a football team in my neighborhood. I knew all the players of the football team in my neighborhood, but I never played for that team in my neighborhood. I went to play for a team getting to Circle, and it had a name people fear, Mau Mau. They thought that the Mau Mau people possessed juju. But that was where I even started learning about the mind and how to use it. You know, when they gathered us at first, the team manager came to us and he said to us, you know, all of you are here because of one thing. Do you know why? Some of the boys said, to come and play a team. He said, no, all of you are here because you are talented. You can play soccer. But here, you have to play as a team. And to play as a team, you know, there are some few things that you need. You know how to play the soccer already. But you need two things. Stamina. If a game has to last for 90 minutes, you should be able to play for 180 minutes without getting tired. And so he said to us, today we are going to start with you on stamina. And they made us run and run and run, did all manner of exercise. And 5 minutes before closing, they gave us the ball, they said play. Some of the boys even decided to refuse to play because they did not make them play when they came. And then the next time we came, he came again, he said, you see, when we gave the ball, all of you were trying to display your talent. But as a team, you must be able to have a strategy. There is a goalpost, and you are to devise a method to strategize to get the people into the people's side and put the ball in the net. He said, when you go to play and you don't score, you have not achieved anything. The game of soccer is to score goals. And so we are going to teach you how to strategize. They taught us how to move as a team. You should be able to play any position that you are put in. And then after we had trained for some weeks, they got us a match. Our first match was played at a park opposite Farisco, former Farisco supermarket in Adabraka. It was called Government School. When we got there, before the match, they came to us and gave us little stones. In Ghana, they call it forbite. But they have marked it and written some things on the forbite. And they told us it was juju. And that if you had to meet the other player, you press it hard and then you put your foot down so that when he kicks your foot, you'll not even feel pain. And when you have to shoot the ball, you press it hard and you shoot it as hard as you can. You know, the first half, or before our opponents got settled, we had already scored 3 goals. And then at halftime, they came, collected all the stones from us, the pebbles from us, and they told us, look, there's nothing in this pebble, so now go and beat them. We went, we beat them, but that was the day that juju went out of my mind. I found out that it was, something that if you use your mind, you could do better. They train us so well that when you kick the ball and it goes over the bar, they will tell you, when you are in training, they will tell you, if you are on the pitch, you will say you saw a lion coming. Or if you are a goalkeeper and they score you, they will say you saw a crocodile coming. So you run away. Because some goalkeepers and some players, they had that excuse. And one of our players, who was a striker, but he would always kick the ball over the bar, and they nicknamed him Ash. You say, when you play the ball, everyone says Ash because you miss the goal. They teased him and he toned down and he started training. They will ask him, tell us where you are kicking the ball to. And he will kick the ball and realize that he had made his mark. He was scoring goals like anything. We had a Congolese boy who was our main striker. All you needed to do was to just put the ball in front of him and you start running to the center line because he was going to score. Sometimes we can beat big teams 6-0, and when we come, they think we have juju. They will, our people will bring. One of our managers worked at the art center, and he formed a skull and put some 2 crossbones, and then painted the thing. The thing looked very, very scary. And when we are coming, he will be holding it, and then people will be using sea water to sprinkle on the park, and then they say, Mao, our juju will kill you. Nothing in it. Nothing. When it is time to go and play, we will just gather and sing and praise God and pray, and then we go. Our skills. There was one team which knew our strategy, and that team was called Manchester United. They were, look, we'll beat all teams, we'll meet Manchester United, they will use our own game plan against us. And they'll beat us always 1-0 or 2-1. One time we were going to play at the Manchabona. When we got there, before we got there, Manchester United feigned that their team had been disbanded, that they were not even going to play. And we wanted to go and pick the points. So all of our regular players, they didn't come. They didn't even come to our team's house to put on jerseys. So we went with some, ragtag team. We got there and we saw that Manchester United was there in their full selection, full strength. When the game started, not quite 10 minutes, they scored 1. We played the rest of the game in their part of the field, and we couldn't even equalize. I shot the ball, it was going into the net, and then one of our players, he was called skipper, he wanted to put the ball in the net and pushed it outside. I almost killed him that day. Look, Manchester United used our own game plan to beat us. But the team in my neighborhood, real Brightons always beat Manchester United. You know why? You see, Mau Mau came from Brightons, and they knew all about Brighton's faults. Manchester United came from Mau Mau, so they knew of our plans. So always, Brightons would beat Manchester United. Manchester United would beat Mau Mau, and Mau Mau would beat Brightons. And if you draw elsewhere, that is how one of us could be the head of the league. You see, it is always good to find out your place in life and live it to the fullest. Because you cannot be a successful failure. If you see, I always ask this question, if you see a coconut tree bearing mangoes, it looks, unreal to you. You see, even though they can make a coconut tree, they can graft it to bear mangoes, but when you see it, it still will not look real to you, because a coconut tree's duty is to bear coconuts. And so, grafting or no grafting, don't graft another person's job onto your life. Look, I followed my guru's teachings and became a minister of the teaching. And one day he told us that the teaching is two. One is yoga, the other is Ayurveda. And I started reading Ayurveda, and I got three of the best teachers. Dr. David Frawley was known, or is known in America as the best Ayurveda teacher in America. He trained me, and one day he told me that I had to go to Pune to an international academy of Ayurveda, because there was not much that they could teach me in America anymore. But before that, he sent me to Long Island to one of my elder brother disciples in Ayurveda. And when I got there, he said to me, "Look, Samuel, you are from Africa. You have all manner of food. I wanted to make a steam chamber. Get the wood. I have a steam chamber." And at that time, that steam chamber was being sold in America for about $3,000 to $5,000. And he said, "Get to Ghana, you can get it done for less than $500. And he made me take a picture of it. He drew it and then showed me the size. I came, I got a carpenter, and it didn't even cost me 500 cedis. It was way less than 500 cedis. And I had a chamber. He said, all you need is a steam pot, pressure cooker. And you see that hose that is used for gas, just put that on, push it in, find, he showed me how to do it. I just came, got all the materials, did it, and later on I bought one from China, and people always told me they like the one I made in Ghana more than the one from China. The China one, you can play music, you can do this, you can do that, but it was not as effective as the wooden one that we had made. Then I went to India when Dr. Frawley said I had to go to India. And this same, my brother disciple told me that there were 3 people he had gone to in India, but one of them was a professor who is not interested in teaching foreigners. Then I said to myself, that is the one that I will contact, because he said he was the best. So he gave me his email address, And I sent an email to him immediately. I told him I was from Ghana. I wanted to study the authentic Ayurvedic principles from him. And he said to me, he sent me a letter that I could come. I went, and just that visit, when I came back, it changed my entire process. And I stayed with him. The next year, that was the time that I went to India with my guru and some other brother and sister disciples. We got there. We went to Bangalore, and a young man came to me because wherever we went, Roy would introduce me. And when we got to Bangalore, after the introduction and after the talk was over, a lot of people were rushing to Roy, and this young man walked up to me and he said, I saw the way your guru introduced you. It seems to me that your guru knows you very, very well and loves you. And so I've come to you. I want you to be my friend. And I asked him what he did. He said, I am an Ayurvedic doctor. I said, oh, I have an Ayurvedic clinic in Ghana. He said, come to my place. We will teach you all you want to know about Ayurveda. So the next time I went, I bought air tickets, but where I flew to was far away from his place, and I called him. They made me take a train, and after the train, I took a car also to a car park, a car station, and they came to pick me. I went there, and their hospital is more than 100 years old. I think it's about 140 years old now. Last Monday, or not last Monday, I think in January, I told you that my Indian mom and dad had passed. That my Indian dad passed on one day, the next day the wife also passed, and they both had heart attacks. Those were his parents who also adopted me as their son. He was born alone. Last Monday evening or Tuesday morning, I got to work, and my female Indian doctor, Dr. Raksha, walked up to me. She said, "Sir, your brother is gone." And I said, "Which brother?" He said, "Dr. Mahadevan." I said, "You don't mean it?" He said, "Look at it." He sent it to me, the write-up. He said he died from a severe heart attack. I then called South India. I called his secretary, the manager of his IT department, who does everything for him. Called him, and someone else picked the phone. He said, Sergio is so disturbed he cannot receive calls. But it's true. Dr. Mahadevan said, has just passed. Serious heart attack. I said, oh. So the next day I called Sergio, and he confirmed, and they have cremated his body. But last year in November, Isaac and I went there, and that was the first time Isaac met him. But we were there when they told us he had traveled to Delhi. And when he came back, he told us that they called him, I think on Thursday, he flew on Friday, they honored him on Saturday, and he returned on Sunday. The Indian government gave him an award. And I think it was 5 million Indian rupees was the award that they gave him. It was an award for Ayurveda. I think in the whole south of India, I don't think there is a better Ayurvedic doctor than Dr. Mahadevan. He was an icon. But the next day, they brought out a video of him, and he was saying that, oh, don't get attached to my body. Be attached to the principles that I'm teaching you. That is more important, because if you get attached to my body, you'll be hurt. Because I can go at any time, and when I'm gone, you'll be hurt. But if you get attached to the principles will carry you on. I'm here to serve you. And that is what Aunt Sarah has been doing, serving. She has lived a life of service. Aunt Sarah, please come.